And let me tell you how to ensure that the corporate worship sense is maintained. You got to be tuned in to the right frequency. The frequency I'm speaking about is the frequency of heaven, okay? Just even in a natural sense, you guys, let me break this down for you. And I say break this down, that doesn't mean I know everything, but I just kind of, I'm passionate about this. A frequency is kind of like the electromagnetic field that gives, it's kind of like the central place for signals and where signals are transmitted, okay? And then just think about radio stations. So you got a frequency, which is the electromagnetic field where the signals are emit from. And then you got stations, and they all connect to that frequency, okay? So stations in this sense would represent your church. So we all got different stations. Stations, Elevation, Change Church, Christian Cultural Center, House of Hope in Atlanta. I'm just naming churches that come off the top of my Eagle's Nest Church, okay? The Potter's House, okay? The Bridge Church. Any church, your church, okay? It doesn't matter. Those are all stations. Think of those as radio stations that are all tuned into a frequency, okay? Well, let me tell you about the frequency of heaven. That's where I'm tuned in. I know lots of other people are tuned in there. If we are tuned in to the proper frequency where God speaks and where heaven responds, that's what we want. That's what's going to yield us with a corporate worship advance. We're all going to move in the same space. When you're tuned in and when you're honed in on a frequency that's not heaven, you're still going to get a signal, but the outcome is going to be different. That's when you just got a concert. That's when you just, people, it's all emotional. It's all in the moment. So they have a great time when they're there. But when they walk out that door, there's not been any deposit made. There's not been any substantial transformation that's happened. But when you're tuned into the frequency of heaven, and I'm not saying we got to clone each other, because remember, there's different stations. Even when you go out in your car and there's different stations you can turn to hear all kinds of music, different types of talk radio, sports, whatever it is. There's different stations, great. But the frequency is what I'm talking about. So in context with what we're discussing today, the frequency of heaven is where we want to be. And I can tell when I tune in or when I visit churches, I can tell what frequency they're on. Doesn't matter the station, doesn't matter the church. I'm trying to hone in on what frequency are we under. I can tell when it's the frequency of heaven because I sense God's presence more than anything else. I can tell when it's the frequency of heaven because there's deliverance. There's this weight of God, as we call his glory, kabod, the weight of God. It's in the room. It's sitting. He's seated heavily there, and the focus is him. It's not me. Even if there's been times on the journey in praise and worship when I've sang about my journey and grateful for his grace over my life and whatever, the place where we land when we are tapped into the frequency of heaven, we land at presence.